lieutenant's regiment. In other words, he outranks us all.
It is of no moment the 19th.
What if one of Hollywood's greatest war epics was built on secrets the world never saw? The Guns of Navarone wasn't just a World War II adventure. It was a battle behind the camera, too. From dangerous stunts on real cliffs to clashing egos, improvised heroics, and political scandals that nearly derailed production, the making of this 1961 classic was every bit as explosive as its story. Some actors almost didn't survive, others almost didn't sign on, and one change rewrote movie history. So sit back, relax, and let's uncover 15 set secrets fans of the Guns of Navarone never knew. Number 15. Gregory Peck's fear of heights nearly stopped filming. He looked fearless on screen, but Gregory Peck had a secret. He was terrified of heights. When production moved to the rugged cliffs of Rhodes, Peck's character had to scale rock faces overlooking the sea. What audiences didn't know is that Peck froze the first time he looked down. Crew members said his face went pale, and he muttered, "I can't even breathe." Director J. Lee Thompson quietly arranged hidden harnesses and a camera trick shooting Peck from low angles, while a stunt double handled the vertical climbs. In close-ups, Peck stood on a platform only a few feet above the ground, while wind machines simulated altitude. Peck later admitted the experience left him shaken, but proud. "It wasn't acting," he said. "That fear you see, that's real." Ironically, it became one of his most authentic performances. The man terrified of falling became cinema's symbol of unshakable courage. Number 14. David Niven's health crisis nearly killed him. While filming in Greece, David Niven contracted a serious infection from contaminated river water used during a night scene. Initially dismissed as a fever, it quickly worsened. Within days, he was bedridden and delirious. The crew rushed him to a British military hospital in Athens, where doctors feared for his life. Production halted for nearly 2 weeks. Gregory Peck reportedly visited daily, bringing whiskey for morale. Niven later called it the worst time of my career, almost the end of it. Against all odds, he recovered and returned to finish his scenes, though visibly thinner and weaker. The near-death ordeal gave his performance a haunted authenticity, especially during the film's tense finale. To this day, fans can spot subtle continuity differences. Niven's gaunt appearance, mid-film marks, where he came back from the brink. The bravery wasn't in the story, it was in the man himself. Number 13. Anthony Quinn fought to change his character's fate. Anthony Quinn was furious when he read the original ending. His character, Colonel Stavros, was supposed to die heroically in an explosion. But Quinn refused. He argued that Stavros represented Greek resistance, and killing him off would insult the nation's history. Director Thompson tried to reason with him, but Quinn held firm. He even threatened to quit unless the script was rewritten. Finally, the producers caved. They changed the finale, sparing Stavros and giving him one of the most triumphant exits in war movie history. Quinn's passion didn't stop there. He insisted on adding real Greek phrases to his dialogue, and even rewrote parts of his scenes to make the character more authentic. His pride turned a supporting role into an unforgettable one, and made the Guns of Navarone resonate far beyond the screen. Number 12. The cast had to train like real commandos. To make the film believable, J. Lee Thompson demanded that his cast train like actual soldiers. Peck, Niven, Quinn, and James Darren were put through a 10-day boot camp led by British commandos. They learned to climb, march, carry gear, and perform demolitions under sweltering Mediterranean heat. Niven joked that it was the only time an actor got paid to suffer. Peck reportedly pulled a shoulder muscle during rope drills, while Quinn spent nights icing his hands from blistered palms. The result was worth it. Their movements, posture, and camaraderie felt real because it was real. Thompson later said the training created genuine tension and real friendships. They became a unit, he said. That's why the film worked. It wasn't just movie magic. It was sweat, exhaustion, and discipline carved into celluloid. Number 11. The guns weren't props, they were built from scratch. The film's massive naval cannons, the guns of Navarone themselves, weren't miniatures or studio props. They were full-scale engineering marvels, built in a secret workshop on Rhodes. Each gun measured over 60 feet long and weighed 12 tons, crafted from steel, wood, and fiberglass. The crew used hydraulic lifts to rotate them and rigged the barrels with smoke systems to simulate firing. Because of their size, locals believed the weapons were real military installations. Greek authorities reportedly received complaints from fishermen who thought a new NATO base was being built nearby. The illusion worked so well that when the film premiered, many veterans swore they recognized the model. But the truth is, those legendary guns existed only for this movie. When shooting wrapped, they were dismantled and buried in a quarry to prevent theft. Somewhere under Greek soil, those cinematic monsters still rest. Number 10. The script was rewritten in secret by a Hollywood legend. While credit went to writer Carl Foreman, much of the Guns of Navarone was quietly rewritten by a then unknown script doctor, Alfred Hayes, a celebrated novelist who worked in secrecy to punch up dialogue. Foreman was overworked, juggling production duties and daily rewrites from the studio. Hayes stepped in without credit, fixing pacing issues and giving the film's dialogue its iconic rhythm. It was Hayes who added Peck's famous line, "You think too much, my friend." His contributions remained hidden for decades, until memos surfaced, confirming his role. Even Gregory Peck later acknowledged, "There was a ghostwriter who saved us." Hollywood politics buried his name, but his words gave the movie its heartbeat. Number 9. Gregory Peck nearly quit over Anthony Quinn. Behind the camera, Peck and Quinn's rivalry was legendary. Both were Oscar winners, both alpha personalities, and both wanted control. According to crew reports, tension exploded during a rehearsal when Quinn accused Peck of stealing focus. Peck, usually calm, fired back, "Maybe the camera just likes me better." For 2 days, neither man spoke off set. Director Thompson feared disaster, but strangely, the tension added fire to their scenes together. You can feel the underlying hostility in their glares and clipped exchanges. Peck later admitted, "We didn't have to fake the friction, it was already there." But by the final week, the two had found mutual respect. They toasted the rap with ouzo and laughter. Hollywood egos, it turned out, could still make great art. Number 8. The weather destroyed half the sets. Production on the island of Rhodes faced brutal weather. During a fierce windstorm, entire cliffside sets collapsed overnight. Flooding washed away lights, cranes, and weeks of equipment. Instead of shutting down, Thompson ordered the crew to salvage what they could. Many scenes were rewritten overnight to use the damage as part of the landscape. The rocky debris seen in several sequences wasn't designed. It was real storm wreckage. Gregory Peck later joked that God should have gotten a production credit. The chaos delayed filming by almost a month and cost over $250,000, an enormous sum for the time. Still, the natural destruction gave the Guns of Navarone a raw, authentic look that no studio could fake. Sometimes, Mother Nature is the best production designer in the business. Number 7. Real explosives were used in some scenes. In an era long before CGI, the Guns of Navarone took authenticity to heart, sometimes a little too literally. The production used real dynamite for several of its explosive sequences, provided by the Greek military. It was meant to make the destruction of the fortress look real. What no one expected was how close it would come to turning deadly. During one take, a miscalculated blast erupted seconds earlier than planned, sending stones, sand, and metal flying in every direction. Gregory Peck reportedly dove for cover, shouting, "Get down," as shrapnel tore through the air. A technician suffered burns to his arm, and part of the camera crew's rig was destroyed. But instead of panic, director J. Lee Thompson calmly said, "Keep rolling." He later explained that the chaos captured on film was too raw to waste. That real fear, the scrambling, shouting, and smoke, became part of the final cut. The sequence is so convincing that even military veterans praised its realism. After filming, insurance companies stepped in, banning live dynamite from future movie sets. Hollywood learned a hard lesson in controlled danger. Still, those moments of genuine peril gave the guns of Navarone a pulse no special effects could ever replicate. The explosions were real, and so was the bravery behind them. Number 6. The crew accidentally found real war relics. When production began on the Greek island of Rhodes, the filmmakers thought they were building a movie set. What they didn't expect was to stumble upon an actual World War II battlefield. While scouting cliffs for filming, crew members uncovered rusted helmets, ammunition, and the remains of long-abandoned bunkers buried in the rock. Some of the locals explained that German forces had occupied the area during the war, and that the ground still hid relics of the occupation. Production designers quickly realized they didn't need to build fake fortifications. They cleaned and reused the real concrete shelters for exterior shots, giving the film its eerie authenticity. Even the tunnel interiors seen on screen were partly real old war bunkers refitted with lights and props. Gregory Peck later said, "It felt like we were walking through ghosts." He wasn't exaggerating. One morning, a construction team unearthed a live shell, still active after 20 years. Greek authorities had to detonate it safely before filming resumed. The discovery changed the tone of the shoot. What had begun as an adventure film started to feel like a historical duty. For the cast, The Guns of Navarone stopped being just a war story. It became an encounter with the real shadows of history that still lingered underfoot. Number 5. James Darren almost lost his role to Rock Hudson. When young singer-actor James Darren was cast as the fresh-faced Private Spyros, it wasn't just luck, it was defiance. Originally, the role was meant for superstar Rock Hudson. MGM wanted a household name to draw younger audiences, but scheduling conflicts forced Hudson to decline. Producer Carl Foreman considered cutting the character entirely until Darren begged for an audition. Foreman wasn't convinced, calling Darren too polished, too Hollywood. But during the audition, Darren delivered Spyros's emotional confession about fear and courage with such sincerity that the entire room went silent. Foreman nodded and said quietly, "That's our soldier." Once filming began, Darren threw himself into the physical training, climbing real cliffs alongside Peck and Quinn. The older cast members affectionately called him Kid, though Peck reportedly gave him subtle advice between takes to help him project more maturity on screen. His emotional death scene later became one of the movie's most heartbreaking moments, earning applause even at test screenings. It proved that raw honesty could outshine star power. Darren would later say, "I didn't just act in The Guns of Navarone, I grew up in it." Rock Hudson may have been the studio's dream, but James Darren became the audience's memory. The kid no one expected ended up giving the film its soul. Number 4. Director J. Lee Thompson wasn't the first choice. It's hard to imagine The Guns of Navarone without director J. Lee Thompson's steady hand. But he wasn't the studio's first pick. The project originally belonged to acclaimed filmmaker Alexander McKendrick, best known for The Sweet Smell of Success. McKendrick envisioned the story as a cynical, anti-war statement, emphasizing the futility of violence. But when he presented his vision, producer Carl Foreman disagreed. He wanted an exciting, crowd-pleasing adventure, a classic of heroism, not despair. The clash turned personal, and McKendrick walked away just weeks before filming. Foreman scrambled to find a replacement. That's when he turned to Thompson, a director known for his discipline and visual flair. Thompson had just finished Tiger Bay and was eager for a challenge. He accepted immediately, rewriting sections of the film to strike a balance between McKendrick's realism and Foreman's spectacle. The result was lightning in a bottle. Thompson captured the grit of real war without losing the grandeur that audiences loved. His meticulous planning also saved the production after multiple disasters, earning him an Oscar nomination. Years later, even McKendrick admitted that Thompson made the right movie for the right time. Sometimes, the best films don't begin with one man's vision. They survive through the stubbornness of another. Number 3. The Greek government nearly shut it down. Halfway through filming, the Guns of Navarone faced a crisis that nearly ended production, not from weather or budget, but from politics. Greek officials, after reviewing early footage, were furious. They believed the movie portrayed Greek soldiers as cowardly collaborators instead of freedom fighters. Threats came quickly. If changes weren't made, the government would revoke all filming permits and seize the imported equipment. Producer Carl Foreman flew to Athens overnight to negotiate directly with the Ministry of Culture. He promised to rewrite dialogue and include scenes highlighting Greek heroism, particularly through Anthony Quinn's character, Stavros. Foreman even invited Greek military advisors to review the revised script on set. The gamble worked. Not only were permits reinstated, but the cooperation improved authenticity. Locals began volunteering as extras, and the Greek army offered vehicles and uniforms for free. Ironically, the controversy strengthened the film's message of courage and resistance. Quinn later said, "We weren't just making a war movie, we were making peace with history." Without that diplomatic effort, the Guns of Navarone might have been shut down forever. Instead, it became a source of pride for Greek audiences, and one of the most respected portrayals of their wartime spirit ever filmed. Number 2. Gregory Peck's favorite scene was never filmed. Every great actor has that one scene, the one that got away. For Gregory Peck, it was a quiet fireside moment that never made it past the script. In an early draft, his character, Captain Mallory, delivers a reflective speech to his men about doubt and leadership, admitting that bravery often comes from fear. Peck loved it, calling it the truth of the story. He rehearsed it for weeks, convinced it would redefine his character. But director J. Lee Thompson faced pressure to tighten the pacing. With the movie already running long, he made the painful decision to cut the speech before filming. Peck disagreed, arguing that the moment gave emotional weight to the mission. Thompson's reply was simple: "Your silence says more." The two never argued again, but Peck often spoke about it in interviews years later. He said that although he respected Thompson's decision, "Part of me still wishes Mallory got to speak that truth." Ironically, the absence of that speech added mystery to his performance. Audiences sensed the burden he carried without ever hearing the words. Perhaps Thompson was right. Sometimes restraint leaves a deeper mark. The scene may never have been filmed, but its ghost still lingers in every glance Peck gives before the final battle. Number 1. The movie's success changed. War films forever. When The Guns of Navarone premiered in 1961, few expected it to reshape cinema. But that's exactly what it did. The film grossed over $28 million worldwide, a staggering number for the time, and won the Academy Award for Best Special Effects. More importantly, it redefined what a war movie could be. It wasn't just about battles. It was about teamwork, moral conflict, and impossible choices. Directors from Sam Peckinpah to Steven Spielberg later cited it as a major influence. Its DNA can be found in The Dirty Dozen, Where Eagles Dare, and even Saving Private Ryan. The idea of assembling flawed heroes for a desperate mission began here. Behind the scenes, the film's realism inspired technical revolutions too. Its innovative camera rigs, used for cliffside shots, became standard for decades. Cinematographers studied its lighting and framing as textbook examples of widescreen tension. Gregory Peck later reflected, "We thought we were making entertainment. We ended up making a legacy." The film's blend of humanity and heroism still defines the war genre today. More than 60 years later, The Guns of Navarone remains a cinematic fortress, unchallenged, unshaken, and unforgettable. Its impact still echoes across generations, reminding us that courage isn't about glory, it's about endurance. So, there you have it, 15 behind-the-scenes secrets from the making of the Guns of Navarone. From real dynamite to feuds, storms, and ghosts of history itself. This classic didn't just tell a story, it survived one. Now it's your turn. Which secret surprised you most? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more deep dives into Hollywood legends. Until next time, keep watching, keep wondering, and remember, some guns never stop echoing.